welcome to Studio Bovine. With me today is Kat Hart from George Farm Vets. Welcome.
Hello.
You did a project around colostrum management in the UK. What was the reason for you to start the project?
Yeah, so I do probably at least half of my time I spend doing young stock work, so both being called out to sort of disease outbreaks, but also trying to do a lot of sort of routine calf visits to slot in between my other work, because I work full-time as a practicing vet in the UK. And even with a lot of advertisements and sort of information going into the farming press about the importance of colostrum, I still think that it's at least 3/4 of my workload is linked to colostrum problems. So thankfully MSD back in 2013 managed to support a project into sort of general colostrum management on 6 commercial farms within the area we work. So I really wanted to see what actually happens on farm rather than research areas or university farms where, you know, labour's different and the stresses around the calves are quite different.
Exactly. And what did you find?
So we studied all the 4 Qs. So the first one was the quantity of the colostrum given. So here the target is the 4 litres, so roughly about the 10% of calf body weight. And 57% of the calves did get that, which was a good finding. However, it ranged from 2 litres all the way up to 4 litres, so there was some between farm variation on that.
And then we go from quantity to quality?
Yeah, so the second Q is the quality of the colostrum. So this was measured on a Brix refractometer. So it basically is a rough ballpark figure of the antibodies within the colostrum, so the concentration really. And here we're looking for a target of 22%. So from the 206 samples we managed to collect, 40% of those were within the range, which is lower than what we'd expect. So we did dig into that data and found that heifer, on average, heifer colostrum was a poorer quality than the cows, which has been found before, so that backed it up. But we didn't find any links to sort of milk volume or the lactation yields at all. So that was quite interesting. But we did find quite a lot of on-farm variation, so cow to cow it varied quite a lot. So that shows that even if you've tested a few and they're all okay, you need to keep testing every sample.
And would you recommend if there is a cow who doesn't produce great colostrum to give it from a high producing one or one that...
Yeah, it does depend on, you know, quite farm specific factors, so you have to be careful particularly about Johne's transfer and other diseases on farm. But if it is at all possible, you can give your lower quality colostrum, for example for bull calves, they're often on farm for a shorter time. So that's one way to get around it. If not, you can build up a store, for example, freezing it of the good quality ones. So then if you suddenly get a heifer calf in with either a low volume or a low quantity, then you can use a frozen store.
And then the third Q?
The third Q was the quickly, so how quickly it's administered to the calf. So here the farmers recorded the estimated time between calving and when the colostrum was actually given to the calf. And here the average was 5.4 hours and the target is 4 hours, so that's quite good. But we do have to remember that the farmer was estimating the calving time, and also they knew they were being studied, so whether they were a bit quicker than normal, it's always difficult to know.
Exactly. And the last of the Qs?
Yeah, the last one is Squeeky Clean, so just about a Q, which is the bacterial load carried in the colostrum. So the target here is 50,000 CFUs per mil. And to sort of get a ballpark figure, they say that anything over 250,000 is linked to fatal toxemias. So what we found was the average load was 130,000, and about 17% of our samples were within the target range, and 10% were above that 250,000. So this is a really worrying finding. There's quite little published work about this, particularly in the UK. And my study was in the summer, so whether we have some seasonal variation, it's difficult to know.
And did you also give tips to the farmers to improve their things, and what's your advice for other veterinarians in the field?
Yeah, so when we'd finished the project, we did go round and each farmer had a sort of a report about what we found and what was their particular weaknesses on farm. and most of them were based around the bacterial loads we found. So it's to try and, if you're going to store colostrum, to try and seal it, use it as quickly as you can, and if you do need to keep it for any length of time, over about 6 hours, to refrigerate it.
Thank you very much for your insights.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Studio Bovine, and hope to see you again.